Most business owners believe they have a marketing problem. They don't. Most have a visibility problem, a trust problem, an authority problem, and most don't even know it. Right now, somewhere in your market, somebody is searching for exactly what you sell. They're asking Google, they're asking ChatGPT, they're asking AI systems, they're asking recommendation engines, they're asking friends, they're asking trusted advisors. And here's the uncomfortable truth. If your business isn't being recommended, it effectively doesn't exist. Not because you're not good, not because your service isn't exceptional, but because the way people discover and choose businesses has fundamentally changed. The businesses that understand this will dominate the next decade. The businesses that don't will spend the next decade wondering why growth became harder every year. My name is Kevin Harvey, and I've spent most of my life studying one thing: growth. Not marketing, growth. People often assume I started in marketing. I didn't. Long before I ever entered the digital marketing industry, I was studying business. I became fascinated by how companies grow, why some scale, why some fail, why two businesses can operate in the same industry, sell similar products, have similar opportunities, yet one becomes extraordinary and the other struggles for survival. That question consumed me. By the time I was 19 years old, I had built my first million-dollar business. Not because I was smarter than everyone else, but because I became obsessed with understanding systems. I discovered something early. Success leaves clues. Growth leaves clues. Failure leaves clues, if you're willing to study them. And from that point forward, I dedicated my life to understanding how businesses actually grow. Not theoretically, practically, with my own money, my own companies, my own risks, my own lessons. I've started businesses, built them, scaled them, sold them. And over the years, I've been involved in the growth of more than 50 companies across multiple industries. What I learned during those years would eventually become the foundation of everything we do at Vision Logic. Because growth isn't random, growth is engineered. Before I entered the marketing world, I worked in business architecture, international structuring, corporate systems, mergers, acquisitions, operational improvement, profitability enhancement, organizational effectiveness. I worked with major companies where millions of dollars could be gained or lost based on the quality of decisions, systems, and execution. And I learned something that changed the way I see business forever. Most business problems are not marketing problems. Marketing simply exposes them. When a company grows, weaknesses become visible. Weak systems, weak positioning, weak operations, weak leadership, weak communication. Marketing doesn't create those problems, it reveals them. That realization completely changed my perspective. And it became even clearer when I later entered the world of search, visibility, and digital growth, because I discovered that most businesses were chasing symptoms instead of causes. This may be controversial, but I believe one of the biggest lies in modern marketing is this: more leads solve everything. They don't. I've watched businesses generate thousands of leads and remain unprofitable. I've watched companies spend fortunes on advertising while struggling to grow. I've watched business owners become trapped in an endless cycle of chasing more traffic, more clicks, and more inquiries. The problem isn't volume. The problem is trust. Most businesses operate with close rates of 2 to 3%. And when you look deeper, the reason becomes obvious. The prospect doesn't trust them. The prospect doesn't understand them. The prospect doesn't see them as the authority. So every conversation becomes an uphill battle. Every sale becomes a persuasion exercise. Every proposal becomes a negotiation. That's exhausting. And it's expensive. I believe there is a better way. Over the last 18 years, I have focused on understanding something very different: buyer psychology, trust engineering, authority, positioning, decision-making. And what I discovered changed everything. The highest performing businesses don't simply generate attention, they engineer trust before the conversation ever begins. Think about it. When somebody already trusts you, when they already understand your value, when they already see you as the authority, the conversation changes completely. You're no longer convincing, you're confirming. That's one of the most important lessons I've learned in business. And when implemented correctly, we've repeatedly seen businesses achieve dramatically higher conversion rates. Not because of scripts, not because of tricks, not because of pressure, but because trust was established long before the first conversation happened. When prospects arrive educated, aligned, and confident, everything changes. That philosophy became the foundation of Vision Logic. At some point, I realized something. The future of business wasn't going to belong to the companies with the biggest advertising budgets. It wasn't going to belong to the loudest companies, and it wasn't even going to belong to the businesses with the best products. The future was going to belong to the businesses that could build trust at scale, the businesses that could become the obvious choice, the businesses that could be found, understood, trusted, and recommended before a prospect ever picked up a phone. That's when Vision Logic was born. Not as a marketing agency, as a growth architecture company, because marketing is only one piece of the puzzle. A website is only one piece. SEO is only one piece. Advertising is only one piece. The real objective is much bigger. The real objective is creating a system where every part of your business works together to build trust, authority, and growth. That's why we don't look at marketing the same way most agencies do. We look at the entire ecosystem: your positioning, your authority, your reputation, your visibility, your content, your search presence, your customer journey, your conversion process, your psychology, your message, your systems. Because growth is never created by one thing. Growth is created when everything starts working together. Most business owners still believe they're competing for rankings. They're not. They're competing for recommendations. That's a completely different game. Think about how people make decisions today. They ask Google, they ask AI, they ask ChatGPT, they ask voice assistants, they ask friends, they ask communities. And every one of those systems is asking the same question: who should I trust? The businesses that answer that question best will dominate. The businesses that don't will slowly disappear. And that's why the future isn't SEO, the future isn't advertising, the future is authority. Because authority is what AI trusts. Authority is what people trust. Authority is what markets trust. When authority is present, visibility follows. When visibility follows, opportunities follow. And when opportunities follow, growth becomes inevitable. That's the future we're building for our clients. Not rankings, not clicks, not vanity metrics, market authority. Now let me tell you something that has nothing to do with marketing. The older I get, the more I realize business isn't really about money. Money matters, of course it does, but it's not the reason most of us keep going. The real reason is responsibility. It's family, it's legacy, it's creating opportunities for the people we love. I'm a father, and if you're a parent, you understand exactly what I mean. There comes a point where every decision becomes bigger than you. You're not just building a business anymore. You're building a future. You're building security. You're building choices. You're building something that will outlive you. And today, when I think about the future, I think about my children. I think about Kayla. I think about Kyle. I think about Michaela. I think about Mackenzie. And I think about the responsibility that comes with being a father. That's what drives me. Not trophies, not titles, not recognition. The opportunity to build something meaningful. And when I work with business owners, I understand that most of them feel exactly the same way. Because behind every company is a person. Behind every business is a family. Behind every entrepreneur is somebody carrying responsibility. Somebody trying to build something that matters. That's why I take growth seriously. Because growth changes lives. After decades of studying business, growth, psychology, and human behavior, there are a few things I believe with absolute certainty. I believe trust is more valuable than traffic. I believe authority is more powerful than advertising. I believe relationships will always outperform transactions. I believe systems outperform luck. I believe growth can be engineered. I believe visibility creates opportunity. And I believe that every great business deserves to be seen, not because visibility is fair, but because invisibility is expensive. The world is full of exceptional businesses that nobody knows exist. Vision Logic exists to change that. So if you've watched this far, thank you. Not because you've listened to me, but because you've invested your time. And time is the most valuable thing any of us have. If you're looking for shortcuts, if you're looking for cheap marketing, if you're looking for somebody to tell you what you want to hear, we're probably not the right fit. But if you're building something meaningful, if you're serious about growth, if you're willing to think differently, if you're ready to build authority instead of chasing attention, then I'd love to have a conversation. Not because I have all the answers, but because I've spent my life studying the questions. And maybe together we can build something extraordinary. The future belongs to the businesses that are seen, the businesses that are trusted, the businesses that are remembered, the businesses that are recommended. Those outcomes are not accidental, they're engineered. Visibility creates opportunity. Be seen. Welcome to Vision Logic.